I think one of the most interesting things about producing the Stowe Wengenroth Color of Light is the way the story kept coming to me, almost knocking on my door asking to be told. I had done a little bit of research on Stowe just to know who he was and where he worked, and I quickly connected with Mindy Trafton, whose grandmother had been married to the artist. Mindy happened to mention that someone had made a documentary about Stowe. She'd never seen it, but she owned it, and she asked if I would like to have it. My first thought was, knowing this was actually film, what am I going to do with it? But I said yes, thinking I will figure this out. And very soon, I was driving slowly down a Rockport street looking for a man stepping out of his driveway who would hand me the box of film. Because of COVID, it had to be a drive-by. So he hands me the box, a large flat box with a metal canister in it. And again, I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this thing? So I get it home and I discovered inside the box something almost more interesting than the film canister. The filmmaker's proposal from 1977. It was a 10-page document describing the artist, his eminence, how he worked, who knew him, and how she planned on telling the story. So without even seeing the film, it was like finding the Rosetta Stone to the film. It also included the filmmaker's 2 addresses, one in Cambridge and one in Vermont, and phone numbers from 1977. So the first thing I do is call her Cambridge number. It didn't work, but a little white page Googling and I had her phone number at her Vermont address, which was the same as 1977. So I called. Again, I really had no idea what I wanted from the conversation with her, except maybe at that point just complete some kind of circle. So I reached Mary Arbuckle, the filmmaker, and we had a great conversation. She's the executive director of a community access TV station in Vermont. She's made many films since Stowe's, but that was one of her first. She was delighted to learn the film had surfaced. She commented a number of times on how sweet Stowe had been. She said the film had been shown 2 times, once at the Whitney Museum in New York and at the Boston Public Library. But there was one moment that stopped both of us. After we had talked about Stowe and the film for almost an hour, she paused and said, I have to ask, who owns this film now? And I realized I had been wondering the same thing. So I answered slowly, ticking through the recent provenance. Okay, there was me, there was the guy on the street who handed me the film, there was Mindy, there was her family, and there was the filmmaker who must have given it to Mindy's family or Stowe years ago. So I said, I think you own it. And she immediately responded, good, I was hoping you would say that. If you can get it to me, I will have it digitized and you can do whatever you want with it. So again, here was the Stowe Wengenroth story basically being handed to me, saying, please write this. So I mailed the box to Mary Arbuckle. She had it digitized, and she emailed the 15-minute film to me. It was so moving after weeks of reading about Stowe and studying his transcendent prints, to see him move, to hear him speak. Really sadly, he would die soon after this film was made of emphysema, and he even mentions in the film how bad his breathing had become. So thanks to Mindy's and Mary's generosity and openness, the Stowe story came alive, literally, and allowed me to tell it.